Local presentation of Read About It is made possible in part by a grant from Cox Communications of Oklahoma City, proud sponsor of this effort to promote reading, education, and literacy in our community.
Science fiction fantasy will be the topic on Read About It tonight. Hi, I'm BJ Williams. Catherine Asaro will talk about her book, The Quantum Rose. Susie Beasley will be here with a book. Kids Corner will feature Ronna Davis. We also have Doug Benton and Lieutenant Governor Mary Fallon. Coming up, Catherine Asaro.
The following public service program is brought to you by the Metropolitan Library System. And now, Read About It, with your host, BJ Williams.
Last year, I was able to attend the Oklahoma Writers Federation conference held every year in Oklahoma City. I got to talk with a number of the nationally known authors that come to the conference every year, and one of them was Catherine Asaro, who writes science fiction fantasy, but it is a fantasy with an emphasis on science, since Asaro has a PhD from Harvard in physics. She taught physics at Harvard until she left to form her own research company. So she not only is a businesswoman and a professor, she is also a writer, and a number of her books have won awards as well. I think that you will enjoy what she had to say about her writing when she talked with me about The Quantum Rose. What inspired you to write The Quantum Rose?
Well, actually, it's a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, which I've always loved, that folk tale. So I told it in a science fiction setting, very romantic. Mm-hmm. But it's also an allegory to quantum scattering theory, which is why it's called The Quantum Rose.
That sounds a little complicated to me. But it's also part of a series that you're doing, the Scullion Empire series.
Yes. Actually, I would have called it Tales of the Ruby Dynasty. The Ruby Dynasty rules the Scullion Empire. Mm-hmm. My publisher liked the word scullion, so we went with that.
Well, it's a little shorter, maybe easier to remember. But most of the action in this particular book takes place on a planet that at one time was pretty with it in technology, and
that's right. It's the basic idea for this series. It's not a series so much as a lot of standalone novels set in this universe I made up. The basic idea is that there was a flourishing empire, the Ruby Empire, and then it fell. And for 5,000 years, all of these different worlds were isolated. So it gives me as an author a lot to play with, because I could have each world evolving on its own for 5,000 years. And in this particular one, they lost a lot of their technology. Then the original, the descendants of the Ruby Empire come back and rediscover the colony. Mm-hmm. So I can play with the interaction of the high-tech culture with the low-tech.
Yeah. And your beast actually is a descendant from this lost dynasty.
He's a prince, yes. The main character does not know at first.
Right. And he comes complete with a mask.
That's right.
Actually.
Yeah, she doesn't know why at first. There's a reason, of course, but she doesn't know why. She doesn't even know he's human at first.
Well, I guess if I'd never seen someone and I found myself sort of overnight married to this cloaked figure, I guess we could call it that, I'd be a little concerned myself about just what is under that cloak.
Well, there was a beautiful cover that Analog did. The first half of the book is in itself a complete story, and it was published as in Analog magazine. They had this wonderful cover of this very mysterious man with the cowl and the cloak, and you can't see his face. And it was, I thought, quite effective.
Yeah, it sounds that way. Well, now, to let our viewers know a little bit about it, we're dealing with a young woman who's got a problem. She's got a suitor, actually, who's they've been engaged for a very, very long time, and this prince, he blunders into things. I enjoyed that aspect of the situation where he thinks he's got a handle on this culture, and he obviously doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah, I like to play a lot with the interaction of cultures, because they come 5,000 years in the past. They came from the same culture. So he doesn't fully realize all the differences that have evolved over that time. So it gives me a lot of, you can play with the differences and expectations of the characters.
Yeah. Well, and she although he's aware there are other planets and these different cultures, she's grown up in believing this is it.
That's right. To her, his life is mythology. So she has to deal with all of the sudden this influx of new ideas, new people, new concepts that, because she's a leader among her people, may actually help her people, but they may also completely upset the life she's known.
Well, and I think you emphasize in there that the people very much believe in authority and not changing, and let's keep it just the way it was, and let's not get into this. Let's not even bring up newfangled.
That's right. And suddenly she, who has been that way all her life, has to deal with a completely new set of people and cultures and mores. And it's one of her big moments is when she says, I can do this. For her, that's an incredible step.
Well, and she turns out to be the key, actually, to the prince has got problems, which is why he's hiding out on this little, what I'm assuming is very much a backwater in this whole situation. And and I enjoyed that a little bit, being drunk on. I loved the wedding scene, I've got to say. And I found out later, well, he was obviously drunk, but it was kind of, well, is that it? Is it over yet? Can we go yet?
He's not the world's most romantic suitor.
No. Well, come on then. So, yeah, I appreciated the interplay between the two of them, getting to know each other as well as learning something about each other's culture.
It was a lot of fun to write those initial interactions because they knew nothing about each other. And so it was like writing a discovery of a new world, but it wasn't. It was discovery of these new people. And underneath all their difficulties and problems, they're both very nice people, but they have to get under that. They have to get over the exterior problems to find what's good in each other.
Right. Now, this is a universe that you have created, but you have to do research, I'm assuming.
Yes.
You have to do some thinking about it, and you mentioned something about quantum physics earlier. I have to tell you, I don't know anything about physics, much less quantum, but...
Well, in this book, I don't do as much actual exposition on the science, because the quality of the book is more of a fairy tale. But it is actually an allegory to the subject, quantum scattering theory, which is what I did my doctorate on. So what I did was, at the end of the book, I explained in an appendix what is this business, scattering theory, and then why the book was an allegory to it. Each chapter, the subtitle of each chapter, refers to a specific process in physics. And there's a reason for that, which I explained in the essay.
That must be kind of fun, taking something that most of us assume is just numbers strung out across a page and turning it into fully realized characters.
Well, I never really realized how much you can do that until I started playing with this idea. I mean, we talk about captured states in physics, you know. This character was a captured state. You know, the terminology in physics is very provocative. We have degenerate states, we have bound states, you know. So I was quite curious to see what would happen when I started playing.
When you fleshed it out, so to speak.
Yes.
Well, do you have more books set in this universe?
Oh yes, all the tour books. What I did basically was, I tell a story about this dynasty, the Ruby dynasty, and each book is about one character in the family. Mostly I've been looking at a specific generation, but Tor just bought a book from me that goes back to the parents' generation. So, and of course it's romantic too, because the parents had to have a romance.
Well, they had to have something. Well, what is your next book that readers can look for?
It's called The Moon Shadow. It's coming out, I believe, in February of 2002. And it's about this young man who becomes the emperor of one of these civilizations. He actually becomes the emperor of the villain civilization when he's 17. And he's a very good, decent young man who is thrown into this viper's nest of political intrigue. And it's how he deals with it.
Well, then we'll have to look for it and find out how he does. I want to thank you very much for being with us.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure.
You can find Catherine Asaro's book at your library and your favorite bookstore. Coming up next, Doug Benton talked with Susie Beasley about a book she really enjoyed.
Thanks. Hello again, everybody. I'm here with Susie Beasley. Susie, you're in the hot seat for a change.
That is correct.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting to find out what our interviewers like to read. And you've brought a new edition of an American classic, Bulfinch's mythology, Age of Fable. But there's a difference in this edition from earlier editions, isn't there?
The difference is just awesome. This particular work is illustrated, and it's illustrated with famous paintings that correlate with the fables. And I think this is awesome because of the fact that for a person that their learning outcomes are totally different as far as trying to digest literature or anything with the humanities, especially mythology, it can be difficult if you just have a dry read. But the illustrations in this book are just totally just mind-boggling. There are works by Caravaggio, there are works by Rembrandt. All the masters are in here, and they really do tell the story a little bit better than if you would just read it in just print.
So in addition to learning the Greek and the Greek mythology, the Greek fables, you're also getting a kind of a guided tour of the masters.
Of art history.
Of art. Yeah.
And this particular work has an index of the artists, gives a little bio sketch, and of the paintings, when they were done, what motivated the artists to do this particular work that correlated the fables. And again, these are classics. The works of art are classic, and the tales are classics. Of course, the story of Minerva and all the different things that are transpired, and her feuds with all these different other gods and goddesses, and then having to try to digest that without the artwork, I think would be difficult, and that's a plus with this book.
Yeah, it sounds like it would almost be like watching a television documentary on the Age of Fable, because those are usually illustrated with works from the masters.
With works from the masters, and that's what I think really tells. I guess you said the progress that we've made. People say, well, oh, Bulfinch, it's a classic. Oh, you can't tamper with it. But I think the way that it's done, the printing of this, I think it was done in Italy. The paper that it was done on, all of this makes this book a really good tabletop edition. Really good for persons that are in college or high school, even junior high, would get a better grasp of Greek and Roman mythology.
Okay, sounds great. It's the complete text of Bulfinch's Age of Fable.
And
even more, and more, as they say in the commercials.
And more.
Okay, Susie, thanks for bringing this to our attention. It's available at your local library and your local bookstore. Thanks, Susie. We'll see you again soon.
Yo, see that girl? She sets the curve in my math class. Always has her homework right. Me? I hate homework, but I gotta do it, you know? But I found out her secret. She logs on to the Metro Library website and then clicks on their homework center. I couldn't believe what they have there. Help for math, science, English, and lots of other stuff too, like encyclopedias, newspapers, magazines, even science experiments. Metro Library's homework center website is one-stop shopping. You can even find the phone number of the nearest library so you can renew your library books. Check it out. It's like having the resources of an entire bookstore right in your computer. And since it's from Metro Library, you know the information will be dependable and up to the minute. But hey, I gotta go and log on and get to work. From now on, I'm setting the curve.
Doug Benton is here with me today, and I'm going to tell him about a couple of books that I have really enjoyed reading, and Doug, you might too.
Well,
this first one is called The 10,000, and it is by Michael Curtis Ford. It is his first novel, and it has received a lot of acclaim from people who know. It's a historical novel.
Oh, good. I like those.
Oh, and very well done. This is the story, I'm not sure how many of our audience are familiar with this, but in the late 5th century, the younger brother of the king of Persia hired 10,000 Greek mercenaries. He had designs on Big Brother's throne. And everybody knew, because of recent episodes in the past that the Greeks were the best fighters on the planet. If you wanted to win a battle, you needed to have the Greeks with you. This is at the end of the Peloponnesian War. Sparta has conquered Athens, and Athens is not in a good place. Her economy's been destroyed. She's being run by a murderous group of thugs. So Xenophon, a young Greek who studied with Socrates, decides to try his fortune by becoming one of those Greek mercenaries. In the novel, The 10,000, he takes with him his slave. No one expected a Greek soldier to actually polish his own armor or anything. You had a slave to do that. So they join up with Cyrus and they're Spartans, Corinthians, Thebans, you name it. If they're Greek, they're in this army. And things go fairly well until Cyrus, the Persian who hired them, is killed in battle. Once he's dead, there's no reason for them to be fighting. Unfortunately, they're in the heart of the Persian Empire, which is a very long way from Greece. The king is not prone to giving them a free pass or their back pay and saying, now go on home now, boys. They have to fight their way home to Greece.
Now, is this is true?
True.
Right?
This is true. Xenophon wrote a book about it when he got back called the Anabasis. But this, Ford has taken that story, written it from the point of view of Theo, the slave, about Xenophon and about this march. And it is a wonderfully accessible book. You don't need to know Greek history to really enjoy it. It gives you the feel of battle, the feel of these guys. They're alone, they're broke, and nobody likes them, and everybody's ready to kill them. And somehow they have to get home all on their own. They elect their own generals and tell their generals, not only will we take an accounting of whether you're good or not, we're going to also check to see if you spent what money we have wisely or not. It's all here in the book. You'll enjoy it very much.
It sounds like a very good book.
And we're out of time, so I need to tell everybody that Kids Corner is coming up next. Kelly Rhea spoke with Rhonda Davis about a book for our young people.
Hi, we have a great book today, a YA book. It's called I Am Morgan Le Fay. It's by Nancy Springer. Tell us about it, Ronnie.
Well, I really enjoyed this book, and it was something that just grabbed me, and I almost
right off the shelf.
literally couldn't put it down.
Great, great. Now, from the title, you might get an idea that it says A Tale from Camelot. Is it set in that time period?
It is set in mythological Camelot, which is not the same as whatever historical Arthurian times.
Fables have been handed down.
Fables have been handed down, and these fables have developed. So Morgan Le Fay is the fairy half-sister in this book of King Arthur, who ultimately becomes his enemy.
Really?
Yes.
Now, she's not like everyone else.
No, she isn't. For one thing, physically, she has one violet eye and one green eye, which marks her as actually as a fairy or potentially a fairy. And in this book, she starts out more as a human, but she finds a talisman or a little stone called a milpreve, which happens to be a stone of power. And that stone of power kind of draws her into a lot of different situations and adventures that she probably wouldn't have been involved in otherwise.
And she's coming of age.
And she is coming of age. She's a very young girl when we meet her, but she's very articulate. And we learn a lot about her and how she sees her family and the rest of the world.
And she has a lot of things to overcome.
Well, she does have a lot of things to overcome, mainly that her mother, who is the queen, has lost, at the beginning of the book, has just lost her husband in the war. And at first she finds it hard to believe that her father has been killed, and gradually, as this reality sinks in, she wants to do something about it. And she's frustrated by the fact that she's just a little girl at that point.
But as the book goes on, you find out more and more that she has a fate.
She does, and she finds a little moonstone or millpreve in the dust, and it turns out to be an ancient magic thing, a talisman.
Ooh, how exciting.
Ooh, yes.
It's called I Am Morgan Le Fay. It's by Nancy Springer. Find it at your local bookstore, at your favorite library.
With me again is Doug Benton, and Doug, you've got a book to tell me about.
I do indeed. It's a huge monster of a book. It's a wonderful book, History of the Surrealist Movement.
Oh, wow.
Which was published in France in 1997. It's just been translated by Alison Anderson, and it's available in English now. And it is, as I say, it's a monster of a book. It's breaking my knee here. I'm holding it on here. I have to talk fast with this. Several hundred pages long. But actually, the part that I want to talk about is the very beginning, because it talks about the precursor to Surrealism, which was a movement called Dada. And I have always been fascinated by Dada.
Can we explain a little bit of what Dada and Surrealism is for our audience?
Sure. Dada was an outgrowth from the First World War. And many young artists decided that, you know, if thousands of years of Western art and culture lead us to something like the Great War, we're better off without it. Let's get rid of it. Let's throw it all away and start over again. A very avant-garde, nihilistic attitude towards art. And much of what they created was they considered an anti-art. Marcel Duchamp, in 1914, created the idea of what he called ready-mades, where he would just find items, usually mass-produced things that had been discarded by people. He would give them a fanciful name and say that it was a work of art. Well, what he was saying was there is no art. Everything is art. His most famous ready-made was in 1917. He entered what he called a sculpture in an art exhibition in New York City. He called it Fountain. All it was a urinal. It was that he had picked up somewhere. Well, he tried to get it in the show. New York wasn't quite ready for that yet, so they wouldn't let it in.
But it's there now, isn't it?
Actually, it was destroyed. He recreated it later. He gave up producing art in the 20s, but in the 60s he went back and recreated some of his ready-mades and put them on display at the Philadelphia Art Museum. But he said the public can't come in and see these. They had to look through a peephole in a board in order to see them. So the spirit was still alive with Duchamp. I have a photograph here of some of the early Dada artists. If you can get that on camera. It looks like it's just a bunch of young guys being silly, with one on top of a stepladder holding a bicycle, another one hanging upside down. But if you look over the shoulder, there you see some people standing at a bookstore doorway looking at this. And to me, the most Dada element of this photograph is the fact that they don't seem to care that these guys are being absolutely loony out here. And really, if you think about in the early 30s, some of the Marx Brothers movies, the wild, zany things that were going on the screen, and the characters around them just kind of stood around and watching them as if, you know, they were vaguely curious, but, you know, nothing really was going on. So the spirit even went into that. Dada was originally a literary movement, and one of the founders, a man named Tristan Tzara, wrote a manifesto, a Dada manifesto in 1920, and he explained how to write a Dada poem. And he said, what you do is you find a newspaper article that's about the length of the poem that you want to write, okay? You cut the article out, then you cut out each word separately, and you put them in a paper bag and you shake gently. And then you draw the words out one at a time and put them in whatever random order you want them to appear in, and that was a poem. These guys wrote plays. They had public performances of their plays, which usually consisted of a bunch of guys in funny-looking costumes screaming at the top of their lungs. By 1920, the odd thing about Dada was it was considered by a lot of people to be a real artistic movement, and that was very frustrating for these guys.
I'll bet it was. Well, they'll have to read the book if they want to know more. History of the Surrealist Movement. Thank you, Doug. Coming up next, we have M.J. Vandeventer, Director of Publications at the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum. She'll be talking with Lieutenant Governor of Oklahoma, Mary Fallon, about one of the Lieutenant Governor's favorite books.
Mary, welcome.
Glad to be with
So
you.
happy to have you here this morning.
Well, thank you.
Sounds like you're reading a wonderful book, and
Yes,
the
ma'am.
author is Joyce Meyer. Tell us a little bit about her.
Well, Joyce Meyer is an international television evangelist. She's also written, I think, over 25 books, last time I counted. She has a television show, she has a huge ministry worldwide, and she also has a tape series. And most of her writings are inspirational in nature. And I read this book, it's a little bit dogged up, called Battlefield of the Mind, and I've given it to several friends to read because many times we get all tied up within our minds, these little voices that say things to you.
You can't do that.
You can't do that, or what makes you think you're ever going to be able to accomplish that, or you've had some abuse in your life, or you've made a huge mistake in your life, and it's going to affect you forever, and this is how you're going to live. You've been depressed because your spouse died, or maybe your spouse divorced you. It's always going to be this way, and so these little battlefields that we play within our minds can really hold us back for the great things that we have in store for us.
Well, that's a really interesting concept. What would you say is the chief concept in the book?
Well, I'll share with you just a little bit real quickly. It says, that our minds become bombarded with cleverly devised patterns of little nagging thoughts, suspicions, doubts, fears, wonderings, reasonings, theories. It talks about how Satan slowly and cautiously works within our minds to make us think that these things are going to happen to us. And it questions, what is the condition of your mind? Have you ever noticed that your mind changes constantly? That one minute you may be feeling very peaceful, you may be feeling very secure, and the next minute you feel very insecure and you feel like things aren't going right. And then one minute you make a decision, then you question your decision. Well, is that the right decision or is it the wrong decision? So it's little battles within our minds.
Lots of negative thoughts going on.
Well, and it talks about the importance of having a positive attitude and how your attitude, there's an old saying, your attitude determines your altitude. And in her book, she's got one of the favorite sayings I like to use. You could either be pitiful or powerful.
I like powerful.
I do too. And I'm not going under, I'm going over. And so it's an inspirational book that really tries to help you with your mind, the battles that you play, maintaining a positive attitude. It helps you with depression, helps you with negative thoughts you might have about your past and what your future is going to look like. And then she goes into what I call the wilderness mentality. And you know how the Israelites were held in 40 years of wandering through trying to find the promised land because of their attitude. And so she has different points about the wilderness mentality, and I'll give you a couple little title chapters.
Okay.
My future is determined by my past, not my present, which is not true. I don't want to take responsibility. Sometimes the attitudes that we have, I can't take it. Things are too hard for me. I can't help it. I just do these things. I'm just addicted to these things. That's some of the titles. Don't make me wait. I want it now. You ever had that attitude?
Oh,
it's not my fault. It's everybody's fault. I grew up in this household. I grew up in this town. My life is so miserable. I don't think it's ever going to change. I don't deserve what God has for me. I don't deserve the blessings. Why shouldn't I be jealous? That person has that, and I should have had the same thing.
Well, this sounds like a really wonderful, inspiring book.
It is a great
book at this time of the year to read, too, because a lot going on in everyone's lives. And sounds like a wonderful book, and we thank you for sharing.
Sometimes the holidays are hard, so this might be a good book to read for the holidays.
I think it would be Battlefield of the Mind.
Battlefield of the Mind by Joyce Meyer.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I know it is wet, and the sun is not sunny.
Hi, my name is Jose Jimenez of your Metropolitan Library Commission. Most experts tell us that if you just spend 20 minutes a day reading to your child, you're not only building a bond that lasts a lifetime, but you're also preparing that child to learn how to read. Check with the experts at your Metropolitan Library for suggestions on just the right books for you and your family. And visit us at our website at www.metrolibrary.org.
Be sure and check us out on the web at www.metrolibrary.org. You can find out when Elvis will be visiting your library and when other programs will be available. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you again next time.